Okay.
What's up, Rose? Welcome back to All the Castles, the show where we visit all the castles in the UK. Today we are here at Rose Castle, and we've set off from our lodge from this weekend, and we actually sort of got the distance in slightly wrong, so we've had to walk a little bit further than we expected, but that's alright because it's a beautiful morning, especially for a February. You can just see the landscape around is very nice, very quaint, very beautiful. But anyway, today we're here at Rose Castle. It's currently being used as a hotel, so you can actually stay here for a price. But it's not like other castellated hotels, in which there's actually a footpath through, so we can go and take a walk. So enjoy this one.
Hello, so here we are at the gateway to Rose Castle, which is quite impressive. I must admit, I haven't been able to establish exactly when this gatehouse was built. I'm going to take a stab that it might be 15th century or 16th. I'm not entirely sure. But to give you a bit of a history of the castle, in the 1100s, Henry I created the bishopric of Carlisle, which had been conquered by his brother William Rufus, and in 1230 Henry III gave the Lord of the Manor of this area and this site to the bishops of Carlisle, and they stayed here for 63 successive bishops until 2016, when the building was sold to what's called the Rose Castle Foundation. We'll say a bit more about that later. And it's had quite a checkered history. It was twice burnt by the Scots. Edward I stayed here in 1300, but in the mid-1300s, we believe they started to make it more defensible because, you know, the Scots had knocked it about a bit. And the earliest buildings that are still here date, we think, from about 1352, but there was probably something here before that, maybe a fairly rudimentary Motte and Bailey castle, but they decided to make it more defensible, and we'll show you hopefully the oldest tower and the building. Gradually, as relations between England and Scotland improved, the bishops made it into more of a palace, and quite a lot of them made extensive repairs and renovations, which lost the original pentagonal shape of the castle as they moved the courtyard around a bit. But we'll talk a bit more when we see it from another angle.
I just want to point out on the gate above, just there's actually a rose on the wall.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's a Tudor rose, which would date it to the 16th rather than the 15th century.
It's likely, I mean...
Yes, I think
fits within the time scale.
I think that's a good spot, Simon. Well done.
Cheers, Dad.
Hello, well, we're here at what is now the main entrance to the castle. I believe this is Kite's Tower, and it's named after one of the bishops. I think that was in the 18th century. As you can see, it's not quite medieval, this, but yeah, obviously Archbishop Kite had just Bishop Kite, I think. Obviously had quite a lot of money to spend. The parishioners must have put plenty of money in the collection box to build this. And yeah, it is owned now by the Rose Castle Foundation, who apparently are an organisation devoted to spreading peace and reconciliation throughout the world. Although if you check out the website for this, they seem more concerned with advertising its virtues as a wedding wedding venue. But yeah, it certainly would be a lovely place to get married. I'm hoping that when we follow the footpath round the side, we'll get a better view of the medieval bit. Hello, well, by very kind permission of one of the employees here at Rose Castle, we have been allowed into the private part of the estate, so that we've got a close-up view of Strickland's Tower. Now then, there is some dispute as to how old this is. It's known as Strickland Tower, but Archbishop Strickland didn't take up his seat here until the early 15th century. But a lot of people reckon that this was actually built in 1340, just after the second Scottish destruction.
Well, it's entirely possible that it could have just been laying dormant here.
Yeah, so we think that, you know, Archbishop Strickland may have improved it, perhaps built this circular turret come guardrobe, and as you can see, it's not the tallest of Peel Towers, it's only a couple of stories, but you can see that the entrance to it is at the first floor level. Apparently there is a
there's another entrance here.
Ceiling. Yes,
you can see it right there.
You can see that it's connected to the rest of the castle by this stretch of curtain wall. Here, a subsequent archbishop called Bell built another tower called Bell's Tower, but that was gradually changed into a chapel. As said before, each successive archbishop seems to have made alterations to the property, and yeah, Strickland's Tower.
Very marvellous structure.
Yeah, Wordsworth stayed here in 1803.
William Wordsworth, the Romantic.
Yep.
Actually, hold on. It appears the entrance, the other entrance to this castle, is actually bricked up. I'm not sure you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it there.
Okay. Strickland Tower itself was burnt out by the parliamentary forces in 1648. So I'm not quite sure how much of this is due to subsequent renovation. As you can see, the stonework isn't consistent across the old tower.
There's a patch at the bottom that looks like it's new.
What, newish? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not meaning like 2024 new.
So, and as you can see, it's quite palatial, but definitely not medieval there. So we'll just sort of look around. There's a projecting corbel up there. I don't know if this is accessible if you're staying here or not.
I heavily recommend to those who are staying here. I heavily recommend those who are rather wealthy and looking for a nice holiday to visit here.
If you misbehave, there still is a vaulted dungeon at the bottom.
Yeah, so behave, lads. We get put in the dungeon. Oh, so every angle of this building's beautiful.
A little medieval window there.
Trying out a new camera zoomed outness to capture more of the shots. Images that look far away are actually only a couple meters away from me.
Hello, we're at the entrance here to Warnell Hall above Sebegam in Cumbria. This was originally a Dacre property, but it was exchanged for another building with a family called the Dentons, and I believe the Dentons built this building you can see. What you can see here is mainly a 16th century building, but it was built on the remains of a 14th century peel tower, and at the rear apparently there's some remains of that. So in a moment we're going to take a public footpath up the hill to the rear of the property and see if we can get a better view. It was sold to the Lowthers in 1774, and now it's occupied by a Mr. and Mrs. Coulson. Now whether or not they've bought it outright or they rent it off the Lowthers, I'm not sure, but it is sometimes open to the public because Mr. Kate Coulson is a very keen gardener. You can perhaps hear her at work in the background here. So every so often the gardens are open to the public. Not quite sure where the cars are because it's a very narrow road, it's nowhere obvious, but I'm sure it's well worth a visit. It's sort of topiary. So okay, so now we'll just take the path up the hill slightly and see if we can at least get to you a view from another angle. Hello, well this is as near as we can get to the property. Unfortunately the remains of the castle are at the back of the property to the left hand side, so you can perhaps think that that gable end we can see here, well I suppose it depends where. It says in the gazetteer the left rear, so if you're looking from the back that would be the left hand side, so perhaps that left hand gable there has some remains of the walls of the peel tower, and there is apparently at the back a little basement loop which is still medieval, and it's said, I don't think Mrs. Coulson has said one way or the other, that there is the remains of the original Newell staircase somewhere down in the bottom half of that part of the building. So yeah, what we can show you is 15th century farmhouse rather than 14th century castle, but take my word, there is a bit of the old castle still left as part of the building. So that's it for Warnell Hall. Goodbye.